Morning everybody, Claire here from Rainbow Acrylics. I'm super excited this morning because I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to do a flower dip painting. I've got a commission coming up. I've got a lovely customer who has requested I do a flower dip for her, but I've never tried one before, so I'm going to start practicing. I'm going to use some fabulous colours, pinks and blues. I just don't think you can go wrong with pinks and blues because if they mix, they'll make purple, which is another really lovely colour. So let's get started. I'll show you the paints. So these are all the paints that I'm using. The base colour is Amsterdam White. I'm using Pearl White, De La Rani Graduate Acrylic Pearl White, Amsterdam Persian Rose, Pebeo Studio Acrylic Iridescent Violet Blue, a System 3 Acrylic Purple, Graduate Acrylic Cerulean Blue, Deco Art Sapphire, and Pebeo Iridescent Blue Black, and a System 3 Acrylic Persian Blue. All of the paints I've mixed with this Floetrol, the UK Floetrol, and I've mixed them all 2 parts Floetrol to 2 parts paint to half a part water. If I've got where I've got a iridescent or metallic colour, I've then gone and put in I've gone in and put 1 part water. So half a part water for non-iridescent colours, 1 part water for iridescent colours because they start out slightly thicker. So I'm hoping, because I'm adding the Floetrol, no silicone, but I'm adding the Floetrol, I'm hoping to get some interesting cells and effects. So let's get started. Right, I've covered my canvas in my base paint. It's a 20 by 20 centimetre canvas. I'm worried already that these paints are too thick because can you see it's really irregular on here? It doesn't matter at all in terms of the end result because it will dry flat and you won't see all these ridges, but it just tells me that the paint is thick. So I'm going to do this pour with this consistency paint. If it's too thick, I'll just do it again, but I'm going to water them down. Right, so to pour over, I'm going to use this star. It's a weight. It used to have a piece of concrete inside, and it's a weight that you attach a helium balloon to. And I think it's just perfect. So I'm going to place that in what I think is the centre of my canvas. I'm hoping that might be the centre. Like that, and then I'm going to pour over the top. Right, let's just start with a little bit of the base paint, the white, just to get it flowing. Actually, there's a little lump of something in the paint there. Don't want that. I don't want a lot, just a little bit, so enough that it's going to drain down all 5 gaps in the star. Might be better actually using my stir stick, just to try and make it as even as possible. Again, this makes me think the paint's a bit thick, the way it's pouring down one side but not the other. Right, just give that a minute to drain down. It's a little bit irregular looking around the outside. I guess that's because I'm using this kind of star. Right, I'm just going to take this off. Pretty. Right, I'm going to create some lines within the design. And then I'm going to put the star back on, but I'm going to twist it a little bit. So now the paint's going to run off in different places. And then I'm just going to do a tiny bit more. Oh, let's put some white down. Right, I'm going to lift that off again. Well, the colours are gorgeous. And then I'm just going to create some more pretty designs. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually torch it. I can see lots of air bubbles in there. And then I've got a serviette here, a paper napkin, a paper serviette, and I've got a little tiny spray from my children's aqua beads. So I'm just going to spray the serviette just so it's a little bit wet. And I'm just going to lay the serviette over the top. Just very gently touching it, because what I want to happen is the serviette everywhere, just to stick to the paint underneath. Right, now this is going to be the tricky bit. I'm going to lift the serviette up. I'm going to bring the corners together first of all. And I'm going to do this really slowly, really take my time with this, because I think this can make or break this type of painting. So I've got all 4 corners and then the middle of all 4 edges together there. And then I'm going to very, very slowly lift it off. Right, that is interesting. So there's a lot of paint in the middle and there's virtually no paint here. So maybe I could add more white paint to even that out. Maybe I could spin this. The cells are developing. That blue, what was it? The blue sapphire, that is creating cells here at the moment. Let's give it a torch. Lots of air bubbles. I only mixed these paints this morning, so that's pretty expected really. I think I'm just going to wait. I'm going to leave it 5-10 minutes. I'll turn the camera off and then I'll come back and we'll have a look and then decide what to do next. Right, I'll be back. So it's been about 10 minutes now. I'm really liking the results so far. The colours are beautiful. Can you see that metallic blue? That's what's creating all the interesting design, the cells in the piece. The problem I have, can you see the ridge? So the corners have hardly any paint on. There's a massive puddle of paint right in the centre. So I could put more paint on the corners, but that just means there is so much paint there in the centre. So I think I'm going to put it on my cake spinner and spin it out so that the paint that's there will just spread more to the edge. And then it will be much more even coverage of paint. Right, this is going to be interesting. I've put the canvas on a wooden cake, Lazy Susan, which is going to spin. Let's just see what happens. As I said, that there's just this ridge of paint all the way around, and I need that to go. Right, it's working. I've got a lot more spinning to do though. The paint is so thick, it's just not wanting to move. So I'm going to keep going. Interesting. I'd really like those white corners to be covered. I think what I might do is put a little bit more paint on there, just as a flow extender to try and help it to move. Right, I've put the white paint on the corners. Virtually there. Right, a really cool painting, not what I was wanting, not the typical sort of flower dip painting, but a pretty cool painting that you can see the sparkle there. The colours are gorgeous, really, really beautiful. I actually really like the way it covers the edges now. I think it's really pretty, not what I wanted, but really pretty. Right, I'm going to do everything again, exactly the same again now, but I'm going to thin the paints down because I think that will work a lot better. But I will show you this when it's dry. So this is another 20 by 20 centimetre canvas. I've just spent quite a bit of time thinning down all my paints because I think it will work much better. The paints will flow much better if it's thinner. So same, oh, Got some blue in my base somehow there. So let's just put the base white down again. Right, I'm going to do something slightly different this time. Instead of putting the star directly onto the canvas, I'm just putting it onto a little shot glass and then putting that on top, just to lift it off the canvas. So I'll be left with a circle when I lift this off, but then the paint should cover that. Right, let's see what happens. This time I'm actually taking the napkin in half. So I realised last time there was actually 2 layers to my napkin. So I've just split them up because I don't think that was helping. And I'm just going to spray the water on again. And then I'm just very, very gently laying the napkin over the top like that. So you can see some air bubbles here. So I'm just going to very, very gently press those down so that the tissue paper comes into contact with the paint. Right, I think that is just about touching everywhere. So let's lift this up. So opposite corners first. So that's all 4 corners. And then I'm just going to open up the sides. So the middle of each side I'm then going to bring in towards the centre. And the reason I'm doing this is just so when I lift it, it lifts off evenly. And then I'm just going to slowly, slowly, slowly lift this off. Wow, well, I've got purple this time. I can definitely see some purple because the paints are thinner, the colours have mixed, the blue and the pink have mixed. So that's nice, that's good. Again, it's the blue, that's the metallic blue that is creating the cells. So let's give it a torch and then I'm going to leave it again for a few minutes. And then I'll come back to it and see what's changed. Just look at this, I am so happy with it. Wow, what a difference the thinner paints make. I love it, this is amazing. Look at all that purple that's being created. All the wonderful cells around the edges. It really, really does look like a flower. I'm so pleased with it. There's a lot of sparkle in it as well. I don't think, you can see a little bit of it there. You can see a bit. What I have just done when I turn the camera off is put a little bit more white on all 4 of my corners. And I've also just covered up those little spiky bits. If you remember, I dragged the stir stick through to create some designs, but I decided I didn't like that. I think if the flower was smaller, I think that would be fine, but I've just removed them. I wasn't happy with that. I cannot wait for this to dry. I'll be back when it's dry. And here they both are dry. I'm really surprised because the one I loved wet, I'm now not as keen on. The one I didn't like wet, I now really love. So I'll take you in for a close-up. So this was the first one I did with the thicker paints that I span out. I love it. I absolutely love it. When it was wet, it wasn't what I was intending. It wasn't what I was wanting. But just look at the edges. Look at the iridescent pink that's come through. There's going to be a lot of sparkle in this when it's varnished. That blue is really sparkly. You just can't see it at the moment. It loses its sparkle once it's dry, but I'm hoping that will be back once I've varnished it. And I'll show you this edge. All the edges are gorgeous. I love the way that the spinning just gives you these perfect edges. So the pattern, the colours just continue over the edge. So the downside of this one is there aren't really very many cells, but I don't actually think that matters. The pattern and I think it's just beautiful, really, really pretty. And it's just the way that the colours blend together that I really like. So moving on to this one, the second one. So my paints were thinner, so I got more of the cells. However, the cells have somewhat disappeared because they have spread out a little bit as it's been drying. You do have a really pretty design in the middle, but because the blue is so dominant, I think it just lacks a lot of contrast. So I think the pattern is there, I think the design is there, but you don't really see it because there's not much contrast. I've got the pearl white there. I think that might be part of my mistake. I think if I add in normal white, it won't blend as much and it will give much more contrast. So I'm definitely going to do this again. I'm probably going to do both techniques, so the thicker paint and the thinner paint, and try them both again, different colours, and see how I get on. So I've really enjoyed doing them. Let me know which one you prefer. The one that covers the full canvas, the one I spun out, or the more flowery one with the white corners. So really surprised, really unexpected results once they're dry. So thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think of these 2 pieces. And maybe suggest what I should try next, what colour scheme. Definitely more contrast with the flower dips next time. Great, thank you so much for watching everyone. Bye.